God can heal you, period, sis. God completely changed my life and my business. And so if you've ever been in a toxic relationship or a relationship that you needed healing from, then this video is for you, because I'm going to be talking about how God healed me after a relationship and how that in turn connected me to a multi-six-figure business. Just a little backstory. So when I was in college, one day I was walking with one of my homegirls and we were getting ready to go to the, it's not the cafeteria where you eat, but it's like the side cafeteria where you can go and get like snacks and little things. I think they had like a Subway in there and stuff like that. So we were getting ready to go up there and grab us a bite to eat because we were a little hungry. And while we were walking up there to get something to eat, there was this guy that was sitting on a step, and as we were walking past, he was trying to get my attention. He was like basically yelling from the step that he was at. So I was like, I know he ain't talking to me. So I was saying something to the girl beside me, like, nah, let's keep it moving, let's keep walking or whatever. And she was like, girl, do you know who that is? And I was like, no. And so she was like, she told me his name. For the purposes of this video, we'll call him Martin. So she was like, girl, that's Martin. And I was like, okay. So she was basically like, he plays on the football team and you need to go over there and see what he wants or whatever. And so I was like, no thank you. I wanted to keep heading to the Ram Shack. So I still ended up talking to him because he came up to me, introduced himself, asked me what my name was, and then he was like, so can I get your number though? I was like, no, I don't really give my number out like that. I was like, but I could take yours though. And he was like, psh, are you gonna really call? And I was like, well, we'll see. So anyway, he gave me the number and some time passed and me and Martin would see each other in passing sometimes when we were walking on campus and things like that. But he always seemed really rushed and he always seemed mad about something every time I passed him. So I was like, I don't really know about this dude. So I found out that it was his birthday one day. So I ended up calling him. And so he didn't answer the phone when I called, so I ended up leaving a message on his answer machine. I was like, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, whatever. And I was like, see, I used the number, right? So then after that, I did end up leaving my number for him and he was able to call me. We still kept passing each other on campus and stuff like that. So we would speak to each other and then we would keep it moving because at this point, I still wasn't really interested. And it wasn't specifically him. It was just that I really wasn't interested in anyone. I was really just focused on school. Like I've always been very quiet, very to myself. So I was just focused, really. So anyway, I hadn't talked to him in a while, and now every time we would pass each other, it was like he had an attitude about something. So I was like, what's up with this dude? So anyway, I was like, nah. So I had already really like crossed him off the list. I was like, nah. So anyway, he was coming out of the same Ram Shack that me and my homegirl was going to that day. And this particular day, it was sunny outside, and I was sitting with some of my sisters from college. So we were all sitting around just having fun because I don't know if you've ever experienced an HBCU, but when you go outside, they be playing music. Like it's always live for the most part when you're outside. So we were just sitting out there enjoying the music and just chatting it up. And I seen him come out of the Ram Shack, and this particular day, like I said, the sun was out, shining bright. He came out there and all his muscles was showing. When I seen him that particular day, I was like, he got the nice edge up and stuff. And he came out and I was like, hey, Martin. And he was like, oh, now you want to speak to me. And I was like, don't be like that. He was basically like, oh no, don't try to play me because you see that I got little muscles and stuff like that. So anyway, we started talking and we actually started building a relationship, and I started really getting to know him. And once I started getting to know him as a person, I actually started being attracted to him and I started liking him. And so we built our relationship and we literally became best friends. I would talk to him about anything. He could talk to me about anything. We had this understanding and this connection that I had never experienced with anyone before. Relationship was steady growing. The relationship was good. We started falling in love. Then we got married. Soon as we said I do, the relationship that once was so beautiful had now become so toxic. Whereas we were best friends at one time, now it was like we were bumping heads all the time about little things. Everything was a disagreement. It was emotional trauma on both ends. So much trauma that it was literally like, if one of us does not leave this relationship, I don't know how we're gonna make it, because it was just bad. So we ended up separating because it had got so toxic. And when we ended up separating, it was as if I had lost my best friend. And the crazy thing was, you know how you can experience a loss in life and someone close to you passes or something like that? But the crazy thing about this was, it was like I had lost someone that was still living, that was just a phone call away, but we could not work things out. It was cut off, period. There was no talking, there was nothing. It was just cut off. I was really just like completely shattered. I was heartbroken, and the heartbreak cut so deep that I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna ever heal from these scars. So after that happened, I went into this isolation where I actually didn't want to deal with anyone. It reminds me of the woman with the issue of blood. She also experienced a season of isolation, because during that time, the custom was, if you had an issue of blood or a blood flow, you could not touch anyone and no one could touch you. So she was isolated, and during this time of isolation, she could have just sat there and said to herself, well, listen, there's no hope for me. I might as well just live with this, because there is no way out. I don't see an open door. But she said, no, I am going to have faith. I am going to touch the hem of Jesus' garment so that I could be made whole. And immediately she was made whole. I was born and raised in church, literally lived there. That's a whole nother story. We had church Wednesday, Friday, Sunday morning, Sunday night. But it wasn't a part of me yet. So even though I was going to church, I still didn't really have a relationship with God. So I remember just saying, God, I don't know what to do. And I can remember it so well that it's like, it makes me tear up now. But I just remember saying, God, I don't know what to do, but this is not healthy. Something has to change, because I can't keep feeling so empty on the inside, where it's like you're alive, but you're not really living, because you're not doing anything. You're not interacting with anyone. You're just merely existing, right? So I said, God, I need help. And I started praying, and I asked God for wisdom, and I asked God for understanding and just healing, so that I could get through that dark season in my life. Once I started really seeking and building a real relationship with God, wanting to know him deeper, wanting to understand the word of God and how it impacts everything, began to change. It was like my life had just started taking a whole different direction. The whole course of my life began to change. After that, I was able to hear him tell me to publish a book. And the amazing thing about him telling me to publish a book was that once I published the book, within 1 year, that book business grew into a multi-six-figure business. And the interesting thing about my business, which is a coloring book business, and if you're interested in starting your own business in 2024, I'll link that video below for you. But the interesting thing about my book business is that it's centered around healing. So everything that I was able to be healed from, now God has used that for me to impart wisdom into others. Because remember, God says, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and these things will be added to you. So when you seek God, everything else is just a byproduct. So my business was simply a byproduct of seeking God and listening for his voice and listening for his guidance and learning to trust him. Trust doesn't always mean that nothing is going to go wrong. While my business was growing to six figures, my account actually first got suspended on Amazon, and then it got terminated after it got suspended. So throughout all of that, I still had to listen to hear what God wanted me to do and to trust him, and to know that even if they did not reinstate the account, I'm still going to trust God, because God is the one that gave me the idea for the business, and he would be the one that tells me what I would need to do next. Now, thank God my account was reinstated and the business is still going well. But in everything you do, trust God. So how can you improve your relationship with God? Because I want you to know that you do have a hope, and no matter what situation you're in that requires healing, God can heal. God has healed. So your responsibility is simply to believe it and to cultivate your relationship with him so that you can begin to trust him, and you could come out without a heartbreak, and you could come out whole. Period, sis. So thank you so much again for subscribing to my channel, and let me know in the comments what God has healed you from or what you want God to heal you from. Until next time, bye-bye.